Hey everybody, welcome back to Contenders China Season 3. We're in the final week and this is our second game. I'm joined by my analysts, Scribe and Lafon, and I'm of course your host, Gio. So today we're going to be watching Lingan Esports LGE versus 666 Legend TSL. Now, this series is purely for seeding. We've had all of our playoff spots decided at this point. Both teams, they're at 2-2, but whoever loses this game will be facing the first seed team from Group B. Lafont, how much of a threat is this going to be?
I mean, we're looking at the looking at that game. It is going to be flag gaming, of course, in that setup. So, which we kind of expect flag gaming to take. I think if you're kind of worried about that one, right? Because flag gaming has been pretty strong. So I would say that coming to this match, you're definitely looking at the results of that other matchup.
Yeah, 100%. I think this drills down somewhat to also the next patch, right? Because we're not really sure when the next patch during playoffs will be rolled out. But Flag Gaming has looked phenomenal on the last patch. I think taking a 3-1 upset like yesterday and invested to the grand finals of Land Story. So I think this is definitely a tough fix for you. I mean, obviously you don't want to play, you never want to be the last in your group because of that first seed. But of course, I think that the second seed LGD or BTRG, both of those look very, very beautiful, especially if you're Lingan.
Well, LGE, they took Team CC, which is China's only academy team, to a fifth map. Is this just kind of like, is this game sort of, all right, we know how this is going to go? Or do you think TSL have got some tricks up their sleeves?
I think TSL is definitely has some tricks up their sleeve. It feels kind of weird talking about them because I think go looking at the current tournament team that is going on at 1.3. I think TSL looks like a much stronger team. I think hopefully their confidence from the last few wins that they picked up on land especially will kind of like filter in and help them push this envelope. But I think here it should for the most part be done and dusted. I think that 666 Legend, especially in this meta, just doesn't seem as efficient enough in a 3-3 competition to really pull the upset. But at the same time, I mean, Lingan, I think last week they looked really good, right, with Aegon and Tien playing in. I think this is definitely like in terms of how strong this combination being added onto this lineup is for ridiculously phenomenal. And on top of that, Kami's has been looking so good all season. So I think this is one of those opportunities where it's going to be looking very close. I think TSL definitely could pull up some upsets, but for right now, I think Lincoln has it in the bag.
To that point, though, you can't come to this matchup expecting one team to run far away with this. We are talking about the winner of this team having perhaps the more favorable seeding. So I would expect, yes, Lingan probably to take this one, but TSL, if Lingan comes in this one snoozing, TSL could very, very easily come back with a victory. So I think if you're both teams coming to this, you're coming into this prepared and you're actually looking for the victory early on. You want to put that pressure on first map, especially because you kind of want to set the pace and the tone of the match early on, so that you're not later through map 3, for example, you're not sort of stuck with 2 map losses early on in the series. Basically, LGE can't go into this one too cocky because they will get punished for it.
Absolutely, you want to set down that dominance. Well, TSL, we know that they kind of rely pretty heavily on their main tank, who is ironically called DPS, but he didn't have the best game when they were playing against Laboratory, who aren't the best team in Chinese contenders. So, what do we think that that might mean?
I think this gives them a roadmap and prototype for the side of Lingan to really focus down on TSL. I think that, yeah, I think DPS is by far, I think, the primary activator for a lot of 666 Legend, especially given that their DPS players have kind of been on and off. Runcheng and Night God have looked good, have kind of always had the same symptoms. Right? They look great at certain points when they're ahead, but when they don't look great, it's kind of like where's the damage coming from? But DPS has been the initiator here. I think that Lingan will look to try to capitalize off of that. I think Tian coming into the lineup where this has always been a weird weak lineup for Lingan, where I don't feel like they've had the 100% their strongest capabilities available. So I think that they will get focused on. I think Tian's going to make a lot of the right calls, and we're going to see DPS definitely struggle to get into the back line.
Well, both of these teams, we know they like running these GOATS compositions. Now, LG, they seriously practiced it after they had their run in with T1W, who kind of stomped them into a ground a little bit. Who do you think is better at the GOATS side of things? And does it actually even matter at the end of the day?
I mean, goats v goats is always going to matter, especially in the patch that we're in. And even looking forward to the future patches, I would be surprised if goats is completely gone. So, goats is going to be important to watch out for here. The fact that LG ran into or played against T1W and kind of struggled is perhaps an eye opener for them. They got a little chance to see where it broke down, right? So, I think for for LGE rather, they have at least a roadmap again to figure out where they're working on that.
Well, we'll just have to see for ourselves. We are going to be heading into our first map, which is Lijiang Tower. So we're going to hand it off over to Rapture and Kenobi, who do, I might add, have a bet going on this game. So we'll take it over to them. Take it away.
Thanks, Gio, and thanks for reminding us because I forgot about that
I also
bet.
forgot.
So, and honestly, considering you might win the bet, I was hoping no one would bring it back up, but I couldn't get away from it. Thank you all for joining us. It is Overwatch Contenders China Season 3 2018, Week 5, Day 1, Match number 2. I'm Rapture here with Kenobi, bringing you the matchup between TSL and LGE as we kick things off on Lijiang Tower. Both of these teams are fighting for an opportunity to not play, most likely, Flag Gaming in the first round of playoffs. So there definitely is a lot on the line going into this set.
Yeah, you don't want to play Flag. Flag is one of the best teams in the Chinese region so far, probably the best team in Group B. And we're going to be going to Lijiang here for this first map. And this is a map I think that complements both of these teams' style of play. They like to play more tank-heavy compositions, run those 3-3. As we're seeing here, an interesting composition actually coming out from TSL. We're going to be playing this Orisa Roadhog, not something we've seen too much of in this late current meta.
Yeah, and especially on, market too of Lijiang, right? This is a really odd composition. But TSL, a team that notoriously goes to these wonky compositions, is they don't see them so early in the set. Usually they wait until map 3 or map 4 and Route 66. 666 Legend deciding to go for what they think is right. Go for this weird composition with the Roadhog, with the Orisa, and then a Pharah, something you really never see here, and it's not paying off well so far, Go.
And one of the issues with this comp that 666 Legend is running is you're going to be giving over so much ult charge to Ajian here on this Zarya. She's going to be able to farm so hard with those hooks, getting those bubbles out, getting that energy. And because you have such a beefy tank line, you're going to get killed and you're going to get melted by the Zarya, who's already 90% to that Graviton already.
Oh yeah, that's actually pretty crazy. And Ajin being able to get to these grabs quickly was certainly helpful last week against Team CCU. They took them to 5 maps, so we'll see if that carries over here against 666 Legend. There is the Graviton goes down. A far barrage though from Night God trying to salvage things. Ajin gets rid of them immediately. It's still a 5v5 situation though as Runcheng picked up a kill on Amali. Now Lingan just trying to extend their lead here, but TSL trying to steal it away from out under them. Unfortunately, Umbra gets demeched in the attempt, and then 399 goes down to Idodo. So LGE in full control, not only that, ahead of the game at Ultimates.
So really here for 666 Legend, what they're trying to do is they're trying to use this Hammond to just pile drive the backline. They're trying to get onto Molly and Lengsa, but unfortunately the peel is just too good coming out from Lingan. Ajian with his bubbles has been very good, making sure pile drivers aren't getting the necessary value. And here for Lingan, they have 3 ultimates, both of the support ultimates. That's the most important you have here, because that's really what's going to sustain you through these next fights. And with 64%, there's maybe only 1 or 2 fights left.
Yeah, and has the self-destruct ready to go. Oh, goes for that knockoff. Doesn't get the Lucio, but Kami will find DPS. Transcendence comes out here from 399, but at this point, it's prolonging a fight that Lingan has already really won here, so probably a waste of an ultimate. And though Runcheng does have an EMP, but they've lost 399 now. Tian's trying to separate the Mercy. It might get the kill. Unfortunately, the Mercy slips away, but Umbra will get demeched in the meantime. LGE is slowly staggering these kills on TSL, making it impossible for TSL to approach the point. And that should convert into a first round win here for LGE.
There is a possibility that they can contest. Your DPS is going to get back onto the point, and 666 Legend does have the EMP along with the barrage, so something could happen here on this next fight, but they need to get on the point very, very quickly here, Rapture.
Yeah, and Runcheng does get a toe onto the point, but can't use the EMP in time. Molly cuts them down. Barrage some shots coming down from above there from the Diva, and then Umbra using a self-destruct afterward. Transcendence comes out from Molly, blocking a majority of that there. And overtime now taking it away. Yeah, great Graviton, and that should be it for TSL. They're gonna get melted. DPS does get a minefield down, but can't survive longer than that. And there it is, 100-0 LGE taking the first round.
And Ajian really here showing how good he is on this Zarya and how much of an impact he's made to this team. Before, LGE really didn't have this kind of Zarya player that can really carry with the charge that you're getting, with these bubbles that he's having, with the placement and just the damage mitigation he's bringing to this composition. You had before for Lingan, not really. With Duck, it wasn't really the same, but now you have Ajian who's making such a big impact in there. We saw it getting a grab, basically the second fight of the game, and then you also had Molly, who was basically showing himself to be one of these good Zenyatas, a lot of good Zenyatas that we have in the Chinese region, and Molly making a case for one of the best, probably top 3, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. And also top three, maybe top one chat. Thank you all for being patient with us and sticking through those slight technical issues. I was gonna make a note of it by the end of the round, but it seems like it's cleaned itself up. So here we go. Moving on to control center, a nicer area here. So I think the technology got a little upgraded. And now we have Lingan Esports. They're gonna be the aggressors here, pushing up a little bit, but then falling back, giving TSL some room to move up onto the point here. Receive from Tion's perspective, going to try and put some pressure on the right side here as we have Idodo putting pressure on the left, and then in the middle on that Lionheart shield. And so TSL just looking for a way to try and poke Lingan back off the point, but so far Lingan has the majority of their players on the point and shoving TSL behind cover, and now getting trying to encapsulate the at the choke point, and it's working out. DPS goes down first, and not only that, but Lingan has stolen the point away from them as TSL was trying to get the fight going. So not only does TSL lose the fight, but they lose the point at the beginning of the fight. So already Lingan has about now 15% on the board.
And this isn't really a composition we've seen too much. We've seen like these tank-heavy compositions here, but 666 Legend is actually bringing out a Symmetra. I think the idea here from 666 Legend was to just, as you mentioned, poke out the rest of Lingan Esports. You know, use that right click, use those turrets to try and get some poke damage. And Nightgod does have this barrier very quickly, so it might actually mitigate a lot of damage, enough for them to go and get this point.
And with Nightgod still on this Symmetra here, TSL is really trying everything, and they're not hesitating to do so, but Lingan is certainly outclassing them, maybe more than just composition right now. And we'll see. The TSL, I mean, they have Nightgod on the Symmetra ultimate, they have 399 with the nano boost, and they're about to get a couple more. Let's see what they can do to break through Lingan.
And I think 666 Legend here, I would like to see them maybe switch over to a D.Va. This is a good idea because now you have the wall that can mitigate some damage here if you just play behind it. But there's the grab, and it's absolutely huge.
And moving on, right? Oh, Tion, Adrian, bunch of kills on the board there, Kenobi.
And that's really why I would like to see probably a D.Va instead that we're talking about, because with the D.Va, you offer a lot more tankability. You also have Matrix, and now Ajian understands with the composition 666 Legend is running is that I basically have a grab for free anytime I want because there's no Matrix. I don't have to play chicken. I can just say, oh, there's a really good Matrix opportunity here. There's a really good Graviton opportunity here. I can just, you know, throw it out and I can get a huge grab.
Exactly. And now Lingan just holding out at just under 10% here. Runchang did pop the rally. Nightgod, though, super low and goes down immediately to Molly. Adrian now putting some pressure, forcing the bubble out there from Umbra, and now Umbra gonna throw out a Graviton there. That's gonna suck up Lingan. They're gonna try and use that primal, or to try and, you know, get some kills there, but nothing doing. Adrian now getting close to their Graviton as well. Lynx finds the right click on the TSL 399. And now look at this. Lingan is just going to steamroll over TSL off the sound barrier speed boost from Lynx. That should be it. Overtime ticking away. And just like that, Lingan going to get that quick 2-up.
Yeah, and Lingan looking very, very good. I mean, it's interesting that we've seen this team kind of grow throughout these changes that they made with Ajian coming in, with Tion coming in. They just look like such a better team, especially in this current meta where we see a lot of the 3-3 compositions. And for TSL, I'm not sure exactly what they were thinking. It seems like they were trying to be creative with their picks. And while you have these options to be creative, TSL's strength has always been running that 3-3 composition. So I'm not sure. This is the time where they're trying to maybe, since they are already confirmed for playoffs, they're saying, okay, maybe we can try some things out. This map doesn't matter too much. But if you lose, you are going to be going up against Flag Gaming most likely. And that's a team where you definitely need to be bringing your A game for.
Yeah, and you know, like I said previously, TSL is a team that is known to go for these weird compositions, throwing Runtrang on the McCree, getting that Roadhog out there, and you know, these odd compositions, but they're usually willing to go for them towards the end of a set. I've really never seen them go for these odd compositions so early in the set. I think maybe they're just trying to cheese out their opponent a little bit, get a slight advantage, and you know, get that edge early on, but unfortunately did not work out for them. LGE taking a convincing Lijiang Tower 2-0, which means we're going to be moving on to the next map with already LGE in the lead. Don't go anywhere. On the other side of this break, more Overwatch Contenders China Season 3 2018, Week 5, Day 1, Match 2, coming your way on Broadcast.gg.
like letting go of my mind. I felt it coming with no ground to embrace. I think I just might be bad for you, drowning by the fact that I don't need a reason to be bad for you. I'm losing my head when I'm mad for you. I think I'm going crazy and a little confounded, 'cause I'm helpless. I can't wait to be drowned by your love, baby. You're a stranger, get on the unbalanced, just a little damage, but with you I don't wanna be here. I felt like running the pouring rain. I felt like letting go of my mind. I felt it coming with no ground to embrace. I think I just might be bad for you, drowning by the fact that I don't need a reason to be bad for you.
Welcome back, everybody. Apologies for the delay, but Lingan has already given up point A. So there we go. We're getting you right into it. Why, just cutting out the filler and getting you right into the game. TSL gets point A. Kenobi, that was sick.
Yeah, that was really good, actually. So 666 Legend brings out this Sombra Pharah with the dive, DPS going onto the Hammond, and they did a really good job of getting to that backline, using that Hammond's mobility, and then pile driving the backline so that Rungcheng and Nightguard could follow up, and they were rewarded with a very quick point A capture. And with the ultimates that they have, and the lack of ultimates for Lingan, they could definitely just snowball into the second point.
Ooh, there's the pile driver EMP combination. Nightguard with the barrage gets 4! And the DMAC, the Matrix, is not enough. Night God popping off, and TSL already got some fire in the engine, pushing on through the second phase of Nambani.
And I like there the combination of using that EMP and then using the Pharah Barrage. Make sure that make sure that rather Tian can't use the defense, make sure to try and beat the barrage, and then it's just a free barrage there for Night God. It's just an easy 4.5 kills there, and 666 Legend are still moving through this point. Lingan don't have a lot of ultimates. They're only really going to have the rally to sustain themselves a little bit more, but the rest of the team for 666 Legend, you have that minefield, and DPS gets blown up.
Now TSL, just over 4 minutes to go here on this push. A lot of time to work with here. Kami with the rally, now going to be charging in as Lingan doesn't have too much to work with here. Want to try and just get some ult charge built off this fight, and they'll get the DMAC to boot Umbra. To get popped out of the cockpit there, and TSL going to fall back and reset as Lingan takes control of the payload.
A silver lining there for TSL, though, is that you did force out Molly's Transcendence. So going into this next fight, you're going to have the Transcendence, and Lingan Esports will not. However, Lingan Esports will also have the Sounders, so it's going to be a sustained battle of which support ultimate can get the most value, because Ajian is very close to that Graviton as well.
Now, Agent getting closer and closer to that Graviton. Lingan now again putting some pressure on the payload. Self-destruct comes out along with that. Another blop there is, I believe there'll be Umbra who popped theirs, and also a Valkyrie popped by the Mercy of TSL. The Night God getting picked off there by Molly, and Lingan, you get another fight win without having to burn too many resources here.
And Molly's doing a really good job of putting some pressure onto Night God. In that first point, we saw that Night God kind of was just able to just go and do whatever he wants. But now you have Molly, who is hitting these really good discords and really good orbs of destruction onto the Pharah, making sure that the Pharah isn't really getting as much value for free. But 666 Legend going into this next fight, they have the EMP barrage combo that we talked about before. If it could be big, and if they get Molly and Langsa in this EMP, it could be massive for them.
Yeah, look for DPS to get in position for the pile drive. DPS on the high ground, getting in position for it. Rungcheng has the EMP, but gets sights on Molly first. Gonna get the hack, and then jump right down for that. Oh, gets stunned immediately on landing, forced to use the translocator to get out of dodge. Lingan now, Idodo with the Primal Rage. Graviton comes out, self-destruct, not there in time. And that's going to be Lingan burning some resources here without getting any value. Idodo will find Sober in the meantime, so that should be enough to delay TSL for just the time being. But Lingan, popping a good amount of ultimates there. Not too much value, but I mean, they have stalled TSL. TSL just looking for the right time to get back in a position and pop that combination we were looking for at the beginning of the fight.
Lingan, though, did keep their support ultimates and these defensive ultimates, the Sound Barrier and the Transcendence, so they definitely have the sustain needed in this next fight. It just comes down to here, Rungcheng. Can he get the supports in this EMP? That'll be absolutely huge.
And DPS throwing down the minefield. It's in a fine length, so there's the EMP from up above. Rungcheng super low. Will get the kill on the Molly nonetheless, despite bleeding. And now Night God hanging around in the air with the barrage, looking to see if any stragglers are going to caught in this remaining ultimate, but not going to burn it, as Lingan has been absolutely decimated and separated. The remainder is getting cleaned up here, and Lingan might be losing this checkpoint yet again. TSL looking a little better than they were on Legion.
Yeah, it's not over just yet. The fight is still going on. Night God really just keeping this barrage until the last moment. Great ult patience there, but that fight was really good target selection from 666 Legend in their dive. The hack went on to Langsa, and then DPS dove on him, hit him with the minefield. He was gone, and then the EMP to secure the fight. Molly could not transcend through that, and then the fight was over. They were able to continue to push without that sustained healing coming out from Lingan. And now going into this next point, 666 Legend have kept a couple of ultimates. They could very quickly get back to this EMP barrage combo. Lingan Esports, these defensive ultimates have to really just get through.
Wow. Night God for the lowest barrage of all time, and that, folks, is why you don't do barrage so close to the ground, so close to other players. And in the meantime, by the way, as those ultimates, as you said, were kept. DPS did change over to the Winston, and now Night God changing over to the Zarya. So we do have some switches for TSL coming out as they're trying to make another, potential. I guess Night God was like, all right, I'm going to change, so why not just use this barrage in the worst way possible? But all right, so DPS now trying to build up to that Reinhardt Earthshatter that'll help them get through the third phase here, Kenobi. But less than 2 minutes to go for TSL's offensive push.
But even though that barrage looked bad, he still got the Transcendence out of, Lingan Esports there. Molly did end up using it, and that's a really good value, especially if they knew they were going to switch. But here the dive is coming in onto 666 Legend, and everyone is just going down for them. It's going to be a complete wipe, and Lingan Esports are going to be coming back to this next fight with 6 ultimates, a huge ultimate bank coming in for them.
Yeah, TSL floundering a little bit, and now with this payload sitting on that, slight high ground, it's going to be even harder for TSL to push through. They might have to commit all the way to the second floor or continue to push at a disadvantage through main. We'll see if they can get through. But Agent with the Graviton, waiting for the perfect opportunity on the outside of this barrage to land that ultimate. Still waiting out. There's the patience, catching the backline of Lingan, or of TSL. But no kill follow-ups until Tian was able to sneak a self-destruct in on DPS. Lingan in control with less than a minute to go for TSL, and Runcheng still has the EMP. DPS about to get Earthshatter, but those really have to be solid ultimates. And even if they are, it doesn't guarantee them the end of the map either.
They've been holding onto this EMP for a very long time, kind of waiting for the perfect moment, but Lingan is not giving them that perfect moment. They're always just being more aggressive and letting them dictate the pace. Runcheng here in the back, still just trying to look for this perfect EMP, but with 20 seconds left, you need to just get an EMP in general. Look at everyone else is dying for
Yeah, where are you going? Runcheng spending all this time trying to flank, leaving the rest of the team in the dust, and then they get cleaned up themselves. I mean, this is what we saw last week. Runcheng holding on to ultimates too long, not in position to get cleaned up when they really need to be staying alive here, and that's really hurting TSL as Lingan holding them off at just 2 points, and TSL really struggling despite a strong start in Nabani.
And here you kind of see the difference between reactivity and proactivity here. It seems like Lingan is just the much more proactive team, using their ultimates more aggressively, not waiting for the perfect moments, understanding that we are going to get these back, but you can't be holding on to that EMP for that long if you're Runcheng. You have to use it with 20 seconds left. Even if you're just solo ulting the Zenyatta, at least make him make a decision about where he needs to go and what he needs to do. You can't just let the rest of Lingan Esports dive onto your backline and then just get free kills, because then the time is going to end and you're going to end with only 2 points. So Lingan here playing a little bit more better with their ultimates.
Yeah, and there certainly are situations and opportunities to wait on the EMP, because maybe you think the other team is going to throw out their EMP, or you're waiting for everyone to get caught up in the big one. But there are more than enough opportunities to really let that go. And I think this is, indicative of TSL throughout the season, is that they give away a ton of kill and fight opportunities just to get out of position or hold ultimates for some reason. And it's not just about being a consistent team, it's about, and punishing when applicable. You gotta get every win opportunity. And the teams that let those opportunities slide least are the teams that end up getting farther. And Lingan's definitely one of those teams where they don't miss as many opportunities as TSL. TSL, again, changing these compositions early, waiting on these ultimates. A lot of the time, they're their own worst enemy.
Yeah, and for TSL on this defense, it looks like they're going to be bringing out just the Pharah. So the Pharah worked very good on the first map. Orisa kind of just going to have to hold this high ground and just have the ability to pocket the Pharah. Make sure that if there's going to be the dive, they have some anti-dive abilities with that Runcheng on that Brigitte here. As Lingan is going to stick to what they're best at, is this 3-3 composition with the Winston as the dive target. It looks like they're going to be going through this low ground. I like this idea because that forces 666 Legend to kind of have to make a decision whether they want to get onto a point or not.
Yeah. And now Lingan pushing down the bottom left. TSL is going to hold their ground and stay on the high ground. There's no immediate jump down, but of course that means Lingan is going to get a small portion of point A for their trouble. In fact, they're going to get the first third. Inodo trying to keep and succeeding with keeping Umbra off the point, who was the only one who had any toes at all on the point to begin with. And now with that, Lingan almost getting a second portion of point A as TSL struggling to get onto the point. They're getting staggered one by one. Every person that jumps down gets melted. Kami, Alexa, and Agent getting on the board convincingly and almost faster than TSL did it. Lingan in under a minute taking point A.
such a smart rotation from Lingan. They're using really just the point itself, using the walls around the point to make sure that Night God isn't getting the ultimate value that he needs from that Pharah, using that shield correctly, using the Matrix, using the bubbles to just negate all of the damage Night God is pumping out. And they're rewarded with a 5-minute and 15-second time bank and a really quick first capture. And with these ultimates that are coming online for them quickly, they are going to be able to try and snowball this through that second point. But you're going to have to look out for Night God here on this Pharah. Can he get that barrage off? Is there going to be TN here who's going to be able to eat it? You have to look out for that.
I mean, you might only have to worry about the barrage if you're like an inch above the ground, because we know that's where Night God likes to let him rip, and unfortunately doesn't get anything off. Yeah, Molly is gonna pick that one up, and then Night God switching back over to the Zarya. So TSL is just chunking it up their composition. They are trying to get as tanky as possible here as they try to hold off Lingan, but Lingan is just cruising on through.
Great presence of mind there from Tian. I talked about it. He was really the one that needed to stop this barrage. The barrage was really all that 666 Legend had in their tool bank to try and continue to stop that push, but they weren't able to. And now it looks like Lingan is going to get this second point very, very quickly.
Yeah, Graviton comes up aging, getting rid of DPS, who was getting a little too aggressive there with the Reinhardt. Self-destruct comes down from Umber, and that doesn't do anything as nobody's on the payload whatsoever for Lingan. And now Lingan has a huge player advantage on the payload. Not only is TSL going to lose the checkpoint, they're going to get staggered here and make it hard for them to recontest on this third phase.
They used a lot of ultimates for that too as well, 666 Legend, to continue to try and sustain through that point. The Transcendence came out, but actually I don't even think 666 Legend is going to get back onto this point. Lingan is playing so aggressive. Kami is just going mace to the face right now on 666 Legend. It's just going to be a lonely Zenyatta on the point who's going to cap it for Lingan Esports. They're going to take a 2-0 lead going into halftime.
Yeah, TSL making it look very easy, or Lingan making it look very easy on TSL here. 2 very quick wins in the set because they really, really want to hear from our analyst desk, and I don't blame them. So let's throw it over their way. Gio, how about you take it away?
Guys, okay, I want to hop straight into the first question because I think it's going to be one that a lot of people were probably thinking watching the first half of that series, and that is, what was Night God doing with that Symmetra on Control Center?
I think it's a question that we were asking ourselves too, because there is a thought process behind it, right? Like when we talk about team compositions, there has to always be a win condition established, and you don't want just one win condition, right? Because what happens if that fails? You want to back up to that. I think for 666 Legend, there was a bit of a cheese factor established as well, right? You want to play on that aggressive gameplay and go into it. What that brings up for me though is a question about meta compositions and who plays them and why. Like, why do people play those meta compositions? The reason is because it's strong. It's likely the best chance you have at winning. So then after you go from that, the question is, why don't teams run the strongest composition at all times? And the answer is because, they're either may not be able to, they don't have the pieces necessary to establish that, or they're not willing to show something in a match that they have some reservations about. So I think for TSL, this is a bit of an experimentation for them, especially on Control Center, where even when they had a chance to switch off the Symmetra, they definitely didn't. They went to the Doomfist instead. So TSL is, I think, trying to play around some of their gaps in their roster, perhaps.
Well, one thing that we did talk about amongst ourselves was the fact that TSL looked like they might be a lot more strong when they start playing on 1.30, because currently Contenders is in 1.29. Do you think maybe that's also part of why they're kind of trying different things?
I think there's a sense of when you are practicing on 2 separate patches at the same time, and one is a LAN tournament versus Contenders, where you've very kind of qualified for playoffs already, and there is this small inkling that the patch is going to change in the playoffs anyway, so why not just like hard focus into this coming next week, where you kind of just neglect this, right? So I think this, like for example, forgetting certain interactions that now occur in 1.29 that did not occur in 1.3. I think this is a good instance where TSL should still at the same time play more. They shouldn't be trying to flex too hard. I think like the Symmetra was like, I think the idea itself was very good and could have been potentially executed a little better, right? Using turrets to hinder them from retaking point, right? Knowing that you have the small advantage, picking out supports in the backline with Symmetra's, ability to be extremely mobile, and then using wall to, cut off fights very effectively. I think there's a large depth into that, but why not just play Mei? I mean, Mei does the same thing except better. So I would rather see them play something that's more proven, there's more tape on it.
I want to talk about RGN and Tian. Are they just God's gift to LGU right now?
They make them look so much better, and this is because I mean, like their synergy. I think one is off the charts. I haven't seen Agen look so. I haven't seen a Zarya this season that's been that charged up for as long, right? I think on the first map of Lijiang Tower, it was ridiculous how much damage he was doing. And I think like even building off onto Numbani, this is part of a very aggressive team, right? We see a lot of like strong die competition. I think the fact that Tien's been facilitating very well. Idudu has not shown up on Death Camp as frequently as we have seen him in the very beginning of the seasons, and it finally looks like Kami finally has some room to kind of like take some stuff off. Say like, okay, let me just play this carry role. Let me start not having to focus on defending like all the time, right? Let me start going for these big kills. And 399 has not looked good, especially with that Brigitte in his face.
I think to build on Ajin a little bit is we first highlighted him at the end of Night Market on Lijiang Tower, where after the first round he was at 500 HP, and it looked like the armor hadn't even been stripped, the one that obviously provided by the Brigitte rally. I feel like and that's sort of what like highlighted me of his gameplay early on, and then watching it out throughout. I was keeping close eye on his bubbles actually, because a lot of things we kind of criticize Zarya's for in this current meta is that they play for charge. They play very aggressively with their bubbles, and it's usually wasted on cooldown. The side effect of Goat's meta actually is that you play passively and you play for peel almost with a Zarya bubble, and you get charge on top of that. I did not. I think there was maybe one bubble on Numbani where I was like, not really that much, not full value. It was close. I think I got half charge on it, but for the most part, Ajin has not had just only good just damage, but good positioning, good peel. His bubbles have been really good, and the graviton surges too, well timed and had a good thought process behind it.
Well, yes, I mean, when they were doing their attack, he actually did a solo grab on DPS, which you were pretty happy with, right, Lafon?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's this weird connotation that you need to get like multiple people in a grav. Sometimes the best way to win a fight is to take the most important player out and kill him, and then you can just win the rest of the fight with cleanup. And in this case, they isolated a single player, being the Reinhardt for DPS, and as confusing as that sounds, isolated him out. The graviton surge was an easy cleanup kill, and then TSL was scattered to the winds. There wasn't really anything they could do, and the cleanup came in, and thereafter they just won the map basically off the respawn camp. So yes, there's you want those flashy plays with graviton surge, you want those flashy self-destruct combos, but sometimes the best play is the play that just wins you the fight, and removing a main tank, a very, very good start to that.
So would you two say that going forward into the latter half of this series, because of course LG, they've taken 2 maps now, if TSL want to win the series, they're going to have to take the next 2 and then a 5th map. Would you say that they need to kind of have a little bit more of a reconvene, figure out how they're going to be playing these compositions, because they've picked these strange compositions? In fact, it was mentioned while we were watching that maybe they switched onto their GOATS composition a little bit too late. Do you think they'll be able to draw it back in if they did that?
It really depends, I think, on the way they want to sway in this, and especially in this series, right? Because I think that they can go towards the more tank heavy side of things. I think that Night Guy can finally maybe commit to playing Diva for once, right? Finally say, like, okay, I will finally give up my DPS role to just be a tank player. I think that if they choose to go that direction, I definitely applaud them. But I think, like we talked about before, this is an opportunity for them to try things out a little more. I want to see them try to sway into the other side, right, where we play into the fact that Night God is such a strong DPS player. I want to see a lot of like Hammond actually, because I think DPS is very lethal of it as a kind of a solo carry tank in the backline. So this is one of those maps where I think Sombra and Hammond can get into the backline on Hanamura, and it makes it very difficult for the defense to stay focused.
Well, spoilers, you just said it. The next map is Hanamura, so we'll see if any of what you're hoping to see come out on that map. But for now, we're going to send it back over to our casters, Rapture and Kenobi, to take it away.
Thanks so much, Gio. Welcome back, everybody. It is time for map number 3. This is Overwatch Contenders China Season 3, 2018, Week 5, Day 1, Match 2. I'm Rapture here with Kenobi for another map of Lingan versus TSL. Kenobi, Lingan's up 2-0, and TSL is trying to play every character that's available in the game. As far as I know, we've seen Symmetra. We saw Symmetra on Lijiang Tower, which I didn't even know that was physically possible. Kenobi, do you have any thoughts going into this one?
Maybe we'll see some Torbjorn. And anything can
That's
happen in these compositions that we've been seeing from both these teams. But here it actually looks like, oh, okay, this is actually really cool. TSL is going to be running Reaper here on attack. This is actually really interesting. It's a Goat shell with just a Reaper, so maybe it's kind of like a pocket the Reaper composition and just deal a bunch of damage to this front line, this tanky front line that we're going to be seeing from Lingan Esports.
Yeah, I like this. They have Reaper at the front and they just speed boost right in and have this super fast Reaper just bum rush you and throw a bunch of shotgun shells in your face, and it's actually working. Lingan, I don't think expected this at all, and now they're kind of scrambling for position here. Their tanks trying to coalesce outside the point, but they don't have any real damage to get back onto it. I think they're gonna have to concede this here, Kenobi. TSL making things work. Lingan, though, will get one last recontest here to try and get onto the point. Sober and DPS getting on the board. Slight advantage 5v4 here for TSL. That's just enough. Lingan forced to fall back.
And I think you're right. They got caught off guard by this composition. This Reaper, really, the idea that 666 Legend is having here is that you just rush the Reaper into the enemy team, use those Hellfire shotguns to just pump out so much damage as possible. Make sure he's staying alive. That's why you have the Moira. That's why you have the Zarya and the Brigitte. Just make sure Night God is kept alive and can do as much damage as possible.
And what I'm certainly looking for here, I would love to see like a Graviton Death Blossom combination or something like that, or an Earth Shatter Death Blossom combination. I'm interested to see what they go for. There's the Earth Shatter there, comes down from DPS, and Idodo will steal a kill or get their soul stolen by Night God. Night God also finds Agent, who goes super low, 65 HP, gets bolstered right back up there and helps DPS take out Kami as they try to retreat. TSL already almost getting there. It is first take of point B. We have over 6 minutes on the clock here. Did somebody come in and take over the accounts of TSL? Because TSL all of a sudden on a steamroll right in here. There's the Graviton though, comes out from AG. AG gets cut off immediately, and Night God finds Idodo. So 64 situation here for TSL. In fact, they're going to continue to push the envelope. They're moving on with the sound barrier here from Sober. They're not letting go. Lingan, they're not be able to get back. And there it is. Kenobi, TSL complete the map in a blink of an eye.
And this is the type of innovation that you love to see from these teams, a composition that we really haven't seen before. Using this Reaper as kind of a hyper carry to just walk through the enemy team. It seemed like Lingan weren't ready to deal with it. You know, you didn't have the Brigitte able to stun, and also got to give credit to the rest of the players on the side of TSL for making sure that the bubbles were correct, making sure that Night God is the carry player, making sure that he is sustained and he's the one living. And if he's able to just get into that front line with those shotguns, he's going to deal so much damage and so much burst damage that really Goats can't heal through if he's just being their unmitigated damage.
Seriously, where were you when TSL rushed in with Reaper on Lingan in front of 50,000 Overwatch contender maniacs at the Contender Silver Dome, brother? Oh, just crazy plays out here. In fact, I don't know if you caught that, but he had almost flickering on the Reaper themselves a little bit to see if they would try and test it. Now on a Symmetra potentially. You hate to call the compositions for everyone in the offensive spawn, but by God, I would love to see them kind of run out with the Symmetra composition that TSL ran on Lijiang and win with it.
So you actually can run that symmetric composition on this map specifically. What you're going to do is you use that teleporter. You start at the choke, and then you teleport right to the point and just start throwing out your symmetric turrets. And then really for 666 Legend, you can't really contest. They're already on the point. They get the positioning that they need. But for 666 Legend here, this defensive composition that they have, they're basically running an just a spam composition. They're going to have Rungching here on the high ground, going to try and get some picks on the Widowmaker, whereas Night Guy's just going to try and pump out as much damage to the shielding and farm up that tire quickly enough so where if he gets that tire, he's going to be able to get a couple of kills onto the back line and stop the rush from Goats onto the point.
Yeah, and Kami looked like they were just going for the Hans with that scout arrow to see what TSL was running here. TSL with the Junkrat and the Orisa, like you mentioned, a lot of spam damage as well as Runchang on that Widowmaker. Let's see how difficult it is for Lingan to walk in, and not very difficult. They're just gonna not only walk in, they're gonna go right up the TSL and use that right click to shut down Night God so they cannot spam damage the rest of the team. Lingan, almost, if not faster than TSL's push, get point A very convincingly.
Yeah, I think Night God was a little bit out of position there. He really doesn't need to be with the Orisa in that moment. He can be somewhere else and try and pump out the damage that way. But if he's that far up against the composition like Goats, who's just going to run at you and just destroy your entire team, it's going to be very detrimental for them. And now Lingan is going to rush to the second point. 666 Legend are basically going full anti-Goats now. It's just they don't want to even see any Goats in their face.
No, and Idodo throws down a bubble, which will be a problem for Sober, who was trying to get some work done on that left corner. That was actually really nice placement there by Idodo, just slowing down that Ana. But it's not going to carry over into a fight win here. Night God just pulverizing Lingan, and that should be more than enough to stop the defensive push. So no snowball for you. It is, of course, we are in 2018. There's climate change these days, folks. Make sure you recycle, otherwise these snowballs on Assault just won't happen.
And it seems like 666 Legend actually has found their groove a little bit. I mean, they had the interesting comp in the first point that got kind of rolled over, but then the very quick swaps to anti-goats, I love to see that. You'll just see very proactive switches, not just resting on your laurels and sticking to what you think is going to work. You're going to go over hot swaps over to the anti-goats composition, and it worked really well for them. And now they have to be very careful, though, of this graviton that Asian's going to have, because Lingan Esports have 5 ultimates coming into this next fight.
Yeah, and against them, TSL is very little to work with here. They gotta stay alive long enough this fight to complete their ultimate charge here. But with Idodo popping their primal rage, so much pressure on TSL before the fight got started, made it difficult for them to really sustain throughout this fight. Both teams now popping Transcendence here. We're gonna have a Discord on that Diva, but Tian has a self-destruct, so gonna be able to pop that just no matter what Discord is there. It's not gonna find pay dirt though, and TSL is able to get into cover in time. Meanwhile, Runcheng still has the EMP super low, and this is what we saw last time. Runcheng holding on to EMP way too long here and giving Lingan an opportunity to get back into the fight. And Runcheng will go down. Still though, Lingan, the amount of kills the wells run dry for a moment though, as Night God gets get killed by Molly. Molly then another one, 2.5 for this Zenyatta here. There we go, there's that Zenyatta cam that we're looking for. Molly with all this healing and those fours being flung around, finds the Elena on the left side, respawn, dodges the sleep dart. Now there's a Junkrat, has to fall back. Idodo now putting some pressure on the spawn as well, making it all very difficult here for TSL to break out. And just like that, Lingan giving TSL a taste of their own medicine.
And here I have to give massive credit to Kami on this Brigitte in that last fight, as well as Molly, both of the support players. Kami there sticking with Molly and making sure that every time the Doomfist came in, he was getting stunned, and Molly, as good of a Zen player as he is able to confirm those kills usually 9 times out of 10. So really good play from both of them. And then really good idea from the supports to sidestep the EMP. It didn't get the value. The sound barrier was able to get there, and then they were able to continue to sustain on the point. So really good job from the side of LGE to come back after that kind of interesting Reaper composition that we saw, and they kind of got punched in the mouth a little bit.
Yeah, and Runcheng again, like holding onto that EMP, not finding anything on it. By the time they used it, everyone was dead. LGE, they really just kind of need to build up their ultimates and then roll in, and they had so much time on the clock that even if it didn't work, they could just like do it again, like they could just try and keep going. They only have to be right once. The defense has to hold on every single fight. Now going into this next one here, both teams 2 points on the board. Not only that, both teams with a ton of time on the clock. So with that in mind, Kenobi, do you think this might cause some adjustments for Lingan, knowing that both teams have so much time?
Yeah, I think Lingan is going to stick to what they know usually. They're not the team who flexes too much off of this kind of 3-3 composition, as we see a replay from Night God here. But for the offensive team, for LGE, I think they are just going to continue to stay on this composition. I think Idodo might want to switch here because 666 Legend is running the Reinhardt variation of Goats. And if Idodo dives in here, he's going to get absolutely blown up by the Discord Orb and by the Reinhardt. So maybe take a switch unless you are confident enough in your dive that you're going to be able to go in as Idodo is, and then just and then live. But he looks like he's gonna switch.
Yep, going over to the Reinhardt, they figure, all right, we want this barrier here, but that means Runcheng's gonna be looking for that right click and gonna try and step in and get it. But it's on this patch can still do that. Idodo finds DPS with the pin, and at that point you lose your Reinhardt, you're gonna lose everybody else. And TSL falling apart at the scenes. Kami just swinging away, mace to the face, in the face that runs the place. There it is. Lingan, again, a very swift point A take. TSL knocked back off onto their booties, and now they're going to try and have to hold off Lingan on point B.
And DPS maybe a little bit of an overzealous charge there. If you're going to be charging in these compositions, because Reinhardt is the most important, you need to make sure that you're confirming a kill. And there, he just didn't find the pin that he needed to make that charge at value. Then he was just jumped upon. The rest of the team fell behind him. And now Lingan is going to try and snowball onto the second point.
Oh, charge in. Idodo is bubbled as they go in, so able to avoid a good amount of damage, but can't get out in time to avoid the rest of that damage stream. Does go down to Runcheng. Tian has a self-destruct, so I mean, once the barriers and everyone gets knocked off the point, Tian can just let this loose. However, they gotta worry about Umbra. Throws down their self-destruct, but Lingan is immediately reacting to that one. No kills for TSL. And now Transcendence comes out from 399. Runcheng with the rally, Graviton, but a self-destruct. Very nice self-destruct from Tian. TSL committed so many ultimates to try and get some kills through that Graviton, and Tian just shuts him down immediately because they know TSL can't follow up with a self-destruct being used. Lingan right there with using less ultimates outplays TSL, who burned everything they had, and Lingan completing the map yet again.
Tiana's been so good on this diva. He's kind of he's not popping off really as diva, but he's been doing some really cool things with positioning and also displacement of the enemy team. When there's usually the Winston on the other side, he's making sure that the dives aren't coming in crisp and clean, making sure that he's using his thrusters to boop the Winston out of position. And there in that last fight, he did a really good job of booping the Brigitte off of the point. That way the Brigitte wasn't able to stay on the point, sustain with all that AoE healing, and have those CC abilities. So really good job from Tien, understanding that, okay, I got the Brigitte out of the fight. I can just turn. The rest of my team is going to be able to capitalize on this with the Graviton because the Transcendence is already gone. So really good play from LGE here.
Kenobi, I got to ask you, how many points are we going to get on Hanamura? Because I'm looking for an 8-8 right here.
I'm thinking 8-8.
I'm trying to go a distance.
I'm thinking 8-8. I think 8-8 is a good. Is a good.
We're trying to go. I know what the chat wants. Chat wants us to go all the way on map 3. Am I right, chat? Let me know. Kenobi, you know what I want to see? I actually, you mentioned that that Symmetra composition using the teleporter to get in. I would really love to see that.
That'd be pretty cool. I wish Lingan had done that. And it looks like 666 Legend actually is going to stick to this Reaper Gomp. Hopefully, Lingan Esports now will just have Discord permanently on Night God. Make sure that he is going to get blown up every chance he gets, because if Night God is able to get into the backline and just ruin the tanks of Lingan Esports, they're going to be able to snowball, and we're going to get a 4-4 probably.
I want that 8-8 right here, Kenobi. In fact, not only does chat tell me, Chief also told me. Chief just gave me a DM and said that's it. I want that 8-8. Give me the 16. We have Night God just swoosing their way up onto the point there. DPS is going to join them. I like that. So, just immediately rotating there with Reaper and situating themselves in a position to get killed. I don't like that as much. But it looked good. Tien and Link said they'll pick up kills. 6v4 situation here for Lingan. And they've separated the supports and the rest of the team. Yeah, it's going to be very hard for Uncheng to rejoin TSL through that. The fight as they got bopped away by Kami, and there it is. Lingan again decimating TSL, but this time TSL is an offense, so they got to go back to the drawing board with over 5 minutes on the clock.
And I think Lingan has kind of found out how to deal with this composition. You bring out the Reinhardt instead of the Winston. You offer yourself a lot more shielding, a lot more cleave. Night God isn't able to just walk at you and just do a lot of damage to the face. And now Lingan Esports, they have a shatter already, whereas DPS is only 27% to his ultimate.
You see Langsa looking for that boop. We've seen how devastating the Lucio boops can be on Hanamura from the previous set, but we didn't even really get to see anything at all. TSL couldn't even make it through the choke point without getting absolutely body blocked and destroyed, body bagged by the tank line of Lingan.
And this might be where I would like to see 666 Legend maybe switch it up a little bit. This clearly isn't working. I mean, you do have the Coalescence that you can use and maybe just keep Night God alive, but Lingan Esports have so many ultimates. They have the Transcendence, they have the Shatter as well, the Rally, Self-Destruct. You're not going to be getting through this composition very easily, Rapture.
No, absolutely not. And Lingan's definitely going to be looking for that quick stun into Earth Shatter. There's the Earth Shatter. The bubble can't even save them. DPS going down alongside 399. Night God also getting caught up by Aegean. And it's going to be a 5v3 situation here for Lingan. But TSL knows they are, again, way too out of it to win this fight. They're now reduced to below 4 minutes here, Kenobi. It is certainly a war of attrition as Lingan continues to hold strong on point A.
Simple and clean, like they say in Kingdom Hearts. The stun shatter combo, the bubble just a little bit too late from Umbra. Unfortunately, wasn't able to save the shatter from going onto DPS, and he was blown up, and the rest of the team fell behind him. And now, again, in this next fight, huge Graviton here. Self-destruct probably going to come out as well.
Yeah. Oh, and actually, the kills came through before the self-destruct even got anybody. Night God just the only one caught up by that self-destruct there. I think TSL trying to get onto the point might be as confusing as Kingdom Hearts. I need to get that package because I need to play through all the games. I'm not sure what they got to do. They need Mickey Mouse. They need him to come through and start swiping on people with a Keyblade.
Yeah, because they need Mickey Mouse because DPS only is 70% to ultimate, where this is Idoto's second shatter. So Idoto is having a little bit more value on the Reinhardt so far. So they're just gonna wait the shatter. It's beautiful, perfectly timed, perfectly played from the side of Lingan there.
That's what happens when you give a portion of your heart to somebody else. You don't have enough energy to walk through the choke point, Kenobi, and you get bodied as a result.
Yeah, and I think Triple Six Legend are kind of becoming nobody. Lingan is making them like the Heartless right now. They're trying desperately to get there. They're trying desperately to secure all of the keys for Kingdom Hearts. They have 6 ultimates going into this next fight, so they should be able to make something happen here.
Yeah, can they unlock it? Moving right in. Oh, the charge. Idoto's going to whiff it, and TSL has an opportunity to push up on the point. They have a sound barrier from Sober they can pop when things get hairy, but they also have the Coalescence being popped there by 399. Graviton goes down, not going to... Oh, it actually finds 2 players outside of the point, plus the Zarya there from Aegean, but no kills. And Lingan getting very, very scarily to a very scary close to a bunch of ultimates.
Oh, big shatter.
Huge shatter. Oh, but then the boom.
Oh, he got burned.
Like a legs on Night God, as Night God was going to use the Death Blossom to follow up on DPS's Earth Shatter.
Oh
and
my
Lingan
gosh.
is going to get wiped yet again. TSL, they saw a light in the tunnel, but that door also gets shut on them.
Massive boot there from Lynx. Game saving probably because that Death Blossom is going to come out and secure a lot of that damage onto those people. But there, Lingan, no one ended up dying, which is absolutely nutty considering how many ultimates Triple Six Legend had going into that fight. Night God here going to be switching over to the Zarya with 1 minute and 30 seconds left. Let's see if he can get to this. Oh, Graviton first, but no, DPS is going to go down immediately.
I don't know, just either themselves with these pins shutting down TSL. Every time TSL just like, all right, we're gonna build up some acceleration and rush in, they're immediately hit with the pin. And now TSL scrambling to try and figure out a way through here, Kenobi. They have nothing to show for it, no portion of the point, no ultimates, really. I mean, what can they do now?
They really need to make sure DPS stays alive, and Night God has to really just work with these bubbles, make sure he's saving them for DPS, because Lingan is doing a very good job of making sure DPS isn't getting any value. The Kobe self-destruct coming in, it gets... No.
And the field goal, unfortunately, it was accurate, but it was no good. Not going to find anybody, though. It will be Kami and Idoto picking up the slack there. TSL with just over 30 seconds left on the clock. Lingan is, I mean, just shutting them down completely here. Now you see Idoto hanging out in a sneaky situation here. TSL might not see it coming.
It's like, oh, he's gonna move.
Oh, never mind.
So he is gonna move. I think. Thought it was like Jaws, where it's like dun 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 dun. But it looks like they're gonna have the fight here. The shatter is available here for Idoto.
He's gonna hit that Whopper button, waiting for the grab. Gonna just start swinging away, see who are the stragglers to survive. Oh, just barely clipping that pin onto DPS. The DPS gonna go down nonetheless. Kami will right-click them, and Lingan winning these fights without even having to burn ultimates. Now it's just gonna be the Diva Umbra trying to get it. Oh, the Earth Shatter to stop Umbra from getting onto the point right there. LGE taking yet another map, and now the series, they will avoid facing that first seed, the other group, going into playoffs. So if it is Flag Gaming, it won't be Lingan going up against them. It will be TSL. So Lingan earning themselves a big win there and taking the series 3-0 with that win on Hanamura.
So I like that TSL did try to, make some different changes and shifts into what they were playing. We saw the Reaper composition actually work really well on that first point. It's just like, it's kind of a fool me once kind of thing. You do it once, it works, and you've surprised the enemy team. But then on the second point, you can't, it's hard to run it again because then they are already adapted to what you're going to be bringing to the table. And there we saw, they just absolutely decimated the entirety of TSL there. I think Idoto had 3 shatters before DPS even had 1. It was just an absolute massacre on that second defense.
Yeah, it really was. No matter what TSL tried to do, they tried to run Goats, they tried to run Reaper and push it through, and that wasn't working. They really couldn't figure things out, and they kept making changes which set them back in ultimate charge as well. Unfortunately for them, they kind of walked right into Lingan's hands and set Lingan up for a 3-0 victory. So now as we move on to our 4th and final map of the series, can TSL take a map off of Lingan? I'm not sure how much it'll matter. Lingan is certainly looking for that 4-0. We'll see, though. Don't go anywhere. On Broadcast.gg, we'll bring you some more Overwatch Contenders China Season 3, 2018, Week 5, Day 1, Match 2 on the other side of this break. Welcome back, Overwatchers. You're at Broadcast.gg, and this is Overwatch Contenders China Season 3, 2018, Week 5, Day 1, Match number 2. We're going to wrap things up here between LGE and TSL. It is 3-0 for LGE going into Map 4 of Dorado. So TSL has an opportunity to pretty much get a win, because map differential is not going to make a difference. They will be playing Flag Gaming, unless Flag Gaming loses to Alter Ego. So they really can't escape their fate. We already have the win here up for LGE and Kenobi. Now TSL's opportunity to at least try and get a win here in Dorado, try and pat themselves on the back for their efforts. But what do you think going into this one? You think TSL has a chance to take this map?
They definitely do, and I think they might try and run some different compositions. It already is a 3-0, like you mentioned, so they already have lost the series. But you definitely want to have a win, because then you can go into playoffs with having a little bit of momentum as well. You did take a game off of Lingan, who looks super good so far, and it looks like 666 Legend. I'm not sure if this is actually going to be quad DPS or trip DPS on offense. No, it's not. They're going to switch up. But Lingan, I like this defense from them. A lot of spam. Keep Kami on this Widowmaker. We haven't seen it too often. Ajian, the times he has played Junkrat, has looked very good.
Yeah, and of course, Junkrat can take advantage of Dorado. There's a lot of small areas that you can sneak the Riptire around and get some good kills with that. And then, of course, Kami with these long sightlines. So behind that barrier, it's going to be hard for Lingan to get broken here in 666 Legend and see if they can figure out a way and they can do that double sniper competition. Of course, Night God has that barrier and tank busting ability with the Stormbow, but it's me, Runchang, who gets on the board first there, gets the headshot onto Kami, and now Night God in a little bit of a 1v1 against Molly, also picks up that Omnic head there and then falls back. TSL getting some slight advantages here, but Adrian now trying to even things up, finds Sober on the Junkrat. That's on D-Mex Umbra. Adrian now looking for more. Looking for this Winston, who gets caught almost a little bit on that wall, has to fall back into danger. Umbra, though, in the meantime, finds one at Idodo. Adrian falling back and waiting until the very last second to re-engage here. And actually, they're not. Oh, yeah, all right. I was going to say, Lingan almost not engaging at all, just barely touching the point in time here. Runcheng now looking for some just desserts, but it's Kami who's now taking away the glory on that Widowmaker spot as Langston does get the res onto Agent. Now Kami has some pressure on them from DPS. DPS being very proactive, trying to get rid of this Widowmaker, but that means that they're not there appealing for the rest of the team. And now Lingan will hold on to the payload for the time.
They were getting so close. They were basically a little bit of a meter away. But Rungcheng is actually having a huge game right now on this Widowmaker. Kami also showing his stuff as well. Two players that we haven't really seen play Widow too often, Kami specifically. And he's showing he's actually pretty decent. Rungcheng here has the sight, so he has the advantage now in the Widow 1v1.
Yeah, and the thing is, though, despite that advantage, I mean, oh, there it is. You can get cut down in an instant, and all of a sudden your DPS damage output goes way, way down. Rencheng will get res, but they've lost that sight line that they were holding. Adrian's now going to push up here, putting some more damage. He's about to have the Riptire too. And look at that. Despite getting so close to that checkpoint, Kenobi, 2 full minutes have been eaten off of this offensive push to TSL.
But TSL does have the defensive ultimates to try and maybe sustain and go through this point. Rungcheng is going to go down, which is a little bit, like probably 10 more seconds off the clock. But here, the most important thing is going to be this tire from Ajian. If Ajian can get either 1 or 2 DPS, maybe get one of the tanks as well, it's going to be huge. Tires, as we know, are sometimes basically guaranteed kills or double kills. So if this tire is good enough, it will be able to hold this point for them.
Yeah, and you have 4 squishy targets you can go after on the TSL roster here. So we'll see what Lingan has. They almost have. Well, they're going to have to worry about this Dragon Strike, and I guess they're going to be using that to try and separate the Junkrat from the rest of the team. But Night God really not getting much off of that. Runcheng, though, will pick up the slack, finds Kami in the meantime. Now there's the pile drive into the Riptire. The pile drive is not going to confirm anything, but the Riptire will D-Mac Umbra. Now Transcendence being popped here by Molly to try and keep this fight going, as that Riptire didn't really get as much as they needed, though. Ajin will find 399 DPS, though, immediately returning fire, get some kills. And Night God getting close to another Dragon Strike. They just used theirs, but now at 89. Wow, there it is right there. Gets the Dragon Strike. He's going to be able to let that loose, but TSL.
Kami?
Yeah, Kami. They're getting probably victim to the Kami until Night God just absolutely splits their wig. Going down there is Kami. Molly, though, gets the revenge, finds Night God, and a little bit of revenge, not only for their sniper, but also for the time Night God got the headshot on them previously, about a minute or so ago. So now Molly gets getting into that sniper role and keeping TSL at bay, but Sober will find the res on the 399. Now Idodo going in, just pile driving there, trying to look for a tombstone on TSL, but no grave is opened up. LGE continuing to hold TSL back, and again, another full 2 minutes been held off here, Kenobi. We're at the 10-second mark now, and TSL has not figured out a way through LGE.
And TSL is using all their ultimates and they're not getting the value. What a shot there from Kami. Really showing his stuff on this Widowmaker. Gets the DPS as he goes around, and now they're just going to clean up this fight. Some masterful play here coming out from Lingan.
Oh, Kami, I wanted that 3-piecer there, but I'll take a 2-piece. That's fine with me. I had already eaten before this cast, and there we go. LGE holding off TSL at the fountain. And now that means TSL, I mean, they got to hold off just as strong on LGE, or LGE is going to have a very swift cleanup here, Kenobi.
Yeah, the ultimates for TSL they weren't getting as much value as you would have liked them to. You know, sometimes, you know, you saw Unite God really solo ulting that Junkrat, not really getting any kills. Yeah, you moved him away, but he was just able to kind of just walk back and avoid the Dragon Strike, as well as just not getting that much value from any of your support ultimates as well. You know, 399 was able to get a few Transcendences off, but they just weren't doing the necessary healing as the rest of the team was going down behind him. So I'd like to see TSL kind of clean that part of their game up a little bit. And Lingan, the interesting thing about them is Kami hasn't really played Widowmaker too much this season. And now we've seen him play this Widowmaker and actually looks pretty good. He was battling 1v1 with Brungcheng. He was getting a lot of good kills. So going into the playoffs, since they are confirmed as a playoff team, having the ability for Kami to play this Widowmaker, especially on maps like Dorado, where usually you need one in these first couple of points, is definitely something that they can hang their hat on.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, I think TSL might be doing the old NYXL sandbagging before going into playoffs for that nice, sweet upset win on Flag Gaming. I got you, TSL. Wink, wink. I see what you're going for. LG, I don't think they're expecting that, but yeah, I think that point about Kami is definitely one to note there. Kami certainly looking strong. Shutting down TSL. You know, there's so many opportunities where Runcheng was getting like 2 kills there, and TSL, they must be able to push it through, and then Kami returning fire and getting 2 kills right there as well.
And now it looks like Lingan is going to be playing this classic dive composition. Actually, you know, you thought dive was dead. It looks like Lingan wants to bring it back to life against this ghost composition 3-3 that 666 Legend is bringing out. Kami has to be very careful here because of the damage that can be coming out from 666 Legend's tank line.
Yeah, this is like, what year is it right now? It almost like this is like refreshing a little bit composition-wise for Lingan. But
come on.
No, come on.
You already won. You already won.
Don't do that. Don't do it. Dive's like sitting out here like that episode of Fresh Prince. Will's dad leaves like, why don't they want me, man? Why don't they want Dive? No, we want that goats out here, and TSL's gonna punish Lingan for their crime, switching off of Dive, switching over to that breeze. That's what you get. TSL getting the kills and pushing Lingan back into spawn.
And now, so Lingan is going to have a pretty rough time actually getting out of this point because of the ultimates that 666 Legend are starting to get. They're going to have the Primal Rage for DPS, and I like that Idodo has switched over to this Reinhardt. It's going to be very difficult now for DPS to just dive in for free whenever he wants.
Oh, Idodo going right in on TSL sober. And that'll be a 5v4 situation here for Lingan over TSL as TSL is able to hold Lingan off, but they switched over to goats, and you know what they say?
When in doubt.
Goats is really good. When in doubt, goats it out.
There you go. That's what they say.
That's what they say. So I talked today, and they're like, that's what I say. Like you're right. So Lingan is now moving that payload closer and closer to that golden VIP parking spot, baby. 2 minutes and change on the clock as TSL struggling to get some ultimates together, but they do have the lead, and Runcheng does pop rally. All right, so they have Umbra and 399 ready to go here as LGE gonna go for that final attempt. Though Agent has the graviton, they have to worry about the self-destruct though that's coming out from Umbra, and Lingan, just like always, getting into cover immediately. Agent lets the graviton go. Where's the follow-up? Self-destruct right there, and Tion gets 2 plus the D-Mac. Lingan with the cleanup. TSL hitting the floor. The bodies are all scattered. Lingan gonna clean things up. Just a few meters to go, and TSL's routed. There it is, 4 maps in a row. Lingan will be taking the win 4-0 over TSL.
And Lingan looked like a very scary team going into the playoffs. Rather, you have this 3-3 composition that they seem very capable of playing. Idodo beforehand had really had an issue with being too over aggressive. You know, not unbinding his shift key, going in when he wasn't really able to. And now that you have Tian and you have Ajian here who can keep him alive as well as supports, he looks much better, isn't going in, being too aggressive, not dying first. So that's something they can really hang their hat on. And going into playoffs, I think this team looks very scary. Hopefully for Lingan, it's not going to be another season where they go into playoffs and then they end up losing, 1-3 or 0-3 in that quarterfinal.
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly not over for either of these teams. Lingan can certainly prove themselves in the playoffs, and even TSL as well, as we move on to that soon. But we got to move on one more time to the analyst desk, because they certainly want to talk about this second match of the day. We're going to throw it over their way. Gio, take it away.
Guys, I have to repeat what the cast has just said, that LG just looks so well put together, so well coordinated. I mean, where was all this power coming from?
They're off things. I think we've been I myself have been harping on this. I think I even mentioned them accidentally in game one when they weren't in game one. But I think this is kind of exactly what iDoodoo has been able to do, right? When you have an aggressive tank and activating them, especially in this type of 3-3 composition that's based around Winston, it gives your Zarya a large potential to gain a lot of energy. And I think this is really what TSL was struggling to deal with because of some of the compositional mismatches that they were having, where I don't think Night God ever truly felt like comfortable on a tank. It kind of felt like he at some points told Umbra, hey, let's switch off, like give me Zarya, let me play this, I don't have to play Diva. I think that because they're so uncomfortable about this, I think a lot of times they're putting a lot of damage in instantaneously on the Winston when it comes in, and because that Ajan has just had so much power in terms of just melting down the front lines, creating very winnable decisions, very winnable situations from behind even. And I think that this is some great Diva play that we're seeing.
There's a big difference between a DPS player playing Zarya and a Zarya player. And I think for Ajian specifically, he's a Zarya player, right? He understands the concept. He understands when to bubble. He understands when to get the charge, when to play, play aggressively, when to play passively. He understands that rotation very well. And I think that's going to help. It's going to help Lingan moving forward. TSL, on the other hand, there's a lot of questionable decision making. We bring this back again and again, but we're already like at the end of regular season. This is not the time for it, right? We don't want to have questions going into playoffs. And after watching TSL today, that's what I'm left with, questions. Night God played a lot of, played the Reaper. Again, it's a bit of a cheese comp, which we saw a lot of from TSL today, actually. And I feel like they were almost forcing it. We can take a look at Hanamura, actually, because I think it's a prime example of that. They played the Reaper. It kind of caught LG off guard, and then they tried to run it on their second attack run. The problem with cheese comps is once a team sees it, they're more likely to be able to react to it. And the fact that LG was able to bring back their own time bank with a huge differential meant that they were basically ready for whatever TSL was going to throw at them. And TSL just kept smashing their head against the wall. And unfortunately for them, LGE, off the back of some excellent off-tank play, like we mentioned earlier from Tian and AGN, it wasn't working. And we call Reaper the plot killer for a reason. He's really good in the lower ranks because he thrives on chaos. But in a competitive environment, Diva is going to be in your face, and there's going to be focus fire. And I think this is something that Scribe's going to touch on later too. But just the general gameplay from Lingan today was superior to TSL.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to actually talk about that whole Reaper thing that went on, because when TSL did their first push, they got through point A really quickly. It seemed to work really well for them. And then when they got to the next round, they just could barely get through the choke point. And as you say, once you kind of try it once, often you can't really do it a second time because they figure out what was going on. But was that definitely down to just the off tanks, or was it kind of something bigger at play going on with LG?
It mirrors what happened on Lijiang Tower, right? They ran the Symmetra, rather, not Sombra. They ran the Symmetra composition on the control center, and it struggled just as much. Keep in mind, cheese comps have a purpose. They're designed to throw your opponent off kilter, make them sort of stagger and have to react quickly. And in a game like Overwatch, where mirror compositions are often played, for being forced to react, especially in a map like Hanamura, where it's an assault map, it's got less likelihood of being able to change quickly. A cheese comp can be very, very effective early on. The mistake that TSL made is that they ran with that cheese comp for way too long, and as a result, Lingan was able to play around that composition. So I feel for TSL that, sure, the initial pick was fine, but you got to realize when it's not working. You just got to change. Like, there is no other way of putting it.
looking back more as kind of the history of this pick in itself, I think Reaper is kind of a region specific thing. I think that a lot of teams in China really like it to close out. And I think, like, looking back at it, I think this is more a susceptibility of Night God's not willingness to play that third tank role rather than it being kind of, I think they kind of got locked into this because he doesn't want to play third tank.
I mean, Scribe, I was gonna ask you, like one person who we saw on the Brigitte a lot for LGE was Kami. Now we're used to seeing him on various DPS heroes, most notably Farah, I would say. But how would you say that his Brigitte overall was kind of faring in this series?
It was very good. I think you can definitely see based on the kind of the impact he had on another player on the enemy team, right? 399, who was entirely absent for this entirety of this game. I mean, it's so hard when, especially when you have such an aggressive player like Kami. And I think that this perfect blend of DPS play, especially in Brigitte play, I guess more so, and this evolving tank line is because of the high constraints that Kami had very early on the season when he was that solo carry. He couldn't play as aggressive as he wanted. He couldn't go out and try these these nifty picks back in the back line because he basically was the only thing that's stopping his team from losing. But now that he has more tank line support, IDU has kind of taken on the initiator role. He's now creating so much room, and this is giving them the opening for Kami to sneak into these back lines and be able to go, yeah, like I can now get these great kills, great openings for my team. But Kami, especially now, showed exactly what he was able to do, bringing out the window. I mean, this guy, a lot of flexibility, excited to see what he does come playoff.
I think also to that point, there's a bit of an aspect of buy-in from Kami as well, right? Like we talked about the DPS play, but we also talked about what the strongest composition is in the current meta in 1.29, and that is Ghost. The fact that Brigitte is being played a lot and Kami playing to such a high level is very important, I think, for Lingan going forward. They need the ability to play that composition. They need the buy-in from all their players, and I think Kami today proved that not only is he spectacular on the Widowmaker, some excellent shots, going back and forth on Dorado, but then played the Brigitte to near perfection the rest of the time. I think there's a lot of fights and engages where often the ultimate charge at the end of the fight was tied between him and Tian in alt charge, where both of them had just done the most damage in the fight. And when your Brigitte is playing that well and has been that much of an effect on the fight, you really, really are happy. You take what is considered, a character that is much maligned because it forces so much, and you take all that the kid is able to offer and actually effect change in the match. I feel like Kami has actually done a really great job so far.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Kami playing on the Widow. We did see on Dorado having this Widow versus Widow, but one thing that I did want to ask was, why do you think TSL actually chose to go to Dorado instead of Route 66, which we've kind of seen a lot more of a preference for in Contenders China so far?
It could be a mix-up. I think this is something where I think a lot of teams have been going to the Route 66. I think you get worried because of that quad DPS that can potentially come out. And even though, yeah, like I don't know if Lingan really has the capability to run it, you don't want to play into that at all normally. But Dorado, I think, is just as nice. I think it's actually really good in terms of funneling in for TSL strat. I mean, this is a team that does strive off of playing more DPS picks, and Dorado allows you for a lot of mobility, especially seeing that backline playing for Lonzo.
Yeah, just to finish up that thought, it ended up being a bit of a struggle for TSL, but not for the reasons that you'd expect. They had control of the map, and it was, I think, one or two plays, like just hero plays from Kami and IDU combined that really just cemented Lingan rather winning the map out. So it was close. I think TSL made the right pick going to Dorado, especially with the Widowmaker, which I'm and he's doing a fantastic job on that particular hero. And so it was a calculated guess, and one that just, I think the play of the map is what cost them that one, not so much poor decision making or poor strategy.
Well, we saw some unexpected plays, and we do have 4 maps go straight into LG's back pocket, but we'll be back very shortly after a quick break to come and see LGD Gaming versus BTRG for our last game of the day.